Good day, and welcome to Coffee Chat. My name's Lyle Watson. Today we're pleased to have as our guest Jeff Desender, and Jeff is the founder of Frozen Fire Studios and beyond other initiatives that he works with. Jeff, welcome to Coffee Chat, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. And I think we've got quite a bit to talk about. We're going to find out what Frozen Fire Studios is about and what your initiatives are. But we would like to find out a little more about Jeff, if we could first.
Absolutely. Do you have any direct questions in regards to?
Just who you are, where you're from, where your background is a bit, and what brought you to getting into the Frozen Fire Studios and beyond.
Well, I actually, I was born in Brandon, but I was raised mostly between Brookdale and Neepawa area. I went to high school here.
Oh, did you?
And kind of just been a lifer. I did move away for a little while, but then that small town living, that community that you kind of build where everybody knows everybody and everything, I just could never shake. I always wanted to be in that. So I come back here after my stint in Winnipeg and kind of cleaned myself up. In those years I was away from here, I had a lot of struggles with drugs, alcohol, mental health, overdosed twice, one of which overdoses I actually died for 10 minutes. Then kind of as I come back, it was kind of that reality check where it was, okay, life's better than this. I used a lot of my time in recovery for playing music. Like I grabbed my guitar, and I've played guitar for many, many years, and then I started kind of writing my own music and just expressing my story through song. And then turned around and I got injured. Well, it'd be about 2 years ago now. I used to have a construction company ahead of all of this. And then I got injured, did some damage to my knee and my shoulder. Pretty much ended my construction career.
Yes.
So then from there, I turned around and actually Jacqueline Farrow turned around and had said to me, like, you've had this dream of owning a studio since you were a kid. You love music, you eat and breathe music, that is you, that is all of who you are.
Yeah.
Why not try now? So then from there, I kind of looked, I'm like, no, I think you're right. It's going to be a rough road because it's a hard industry to break into.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So then I started the recording studio. We had bought an acreage just outside of town.
Whereabouts outside of town?
We're about 5 miles south. We're in kind of that lovely, beautiful area they know as, well, used to know as Hallborough.
Oh, yes, okay. And that's where your studio is located?
That is where it's currently located, yeah. We are in the process of putting a venue, later years building our own independent building out there as well. So what I ended up doing was we started in a 10 by 12 room actually on Hamilton Street here. When I first started it up. And that was late 2018, and then once I got all the the business stuff out of the way, business number, GST numbers, all registrations and stuff, we turned around and created that Facebook page maybe mid 2019. By the time everything was all said and done, started showcasing we're here, this is what we're about, all that type of stuff. And then when we moved to the acreage, I cut my garage in half and completely renovated everything in the back end of the garage. And ended up splitting it into 3 different areas. So I have a lobby, I have a storage room, I have a fully acoustically treated live room now, and we actually have a separate control room that basically controls everything for any artist on the other side. We can communicate back and forth, and just a huge pane of glass in between us and the artist in the other room.
So I understand, like you're multi-talented in terms of musical instruments.
I'm a multi-instrumentalist.
And you have a lot of facets to your business.
I do. Yeah. That's just the studio side of it, yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the initiatives in the mission statement of Frozen Fire Studios? If you can briefly just give us a bit of background of the different things that you're involved in.
Throughout my life, I was a very, very avid supporter of anything mental health because I've dealt with it in various capacities. Like before I faltered due to it, because I was always kind of that tough kid, before it actually started slowly dragging me into the darkness with it.
Yeah.
I had battled with some things with parental figures and different people throughout my life that suffered with it. So then I seen what it did to them, and kind of people that have passed on, everything else. And then I got big in with music for mental health and did a lot with that stuff. I used to try to do as much as I could with like Children's Hospital and what's the other, Teddy Bear, like the Teddy Bear Hospital. I used to try to do as much as I could, even when I had my construction company, because I lost a nephew when he was only 17 due to muscular dystrophy and stuff like that. And I was pretty close with him, actually. Like, I didn't spend a lot of time with him, but just the time we did spend left a lasting mark.
Yep.
So then I started focusing more on like the youth as the future. So now, if I finally come out, tell my story, who can I help?
Yep.
Or if I can, one thing I always say in a day, if you can change one person's perspective in a day,
yep,
you've done well.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that's what our Light the Flame for Mental Health initiative is all about, is we're support. We're not there to judge you. We're not there to push you in any direction you're not ready for. We're just there so you know we love you, we support you, and we're always going to be there for you.
Can you give me some of the positive benefits of the connection between music and mental health? Like they go together quite well, do they not?
Absolutely, they do. Like I tell my artists that are on our record label there, that we're like any song you write is a direct expression of who you are.
So you're a songwriter and a record producer also.
Yes.
Okay.
So with that being said, it's one of those things where your lyrics are telling the story. So if you've suffered with mental health or drug addiction or any sort of addiction at all, that's going to come through in that. Now your heart's in it. Heart sells. Because you're being yourself. You're not sugarcoating your music. You're not, as some people put it, selling out. I hate to refer to it as that, because art is an art regardless what you do with it. And then when you get to your instrumentals and stuff, that's your emotion. How people perceive your instrumental triggers their emotions. So rather they start toe tapping, they start, all of a sudden air drumming, or they're air guitaring, or they're rocking out in their car or singing or something. That's all positive mental reactions to the emotion you've portrayed.
A feel-good moment.
Well, exactly. Yeah, like everyone's smiling, everyone's having a great time, right?
Yeah.
You think high school dances, prime example.
Oh.
No one's going to move if they can't feel the song.
That's right, yeah.
Right?
What about the connection between mental and physical health? There's quite a connection within our bodies and systems between mental and physical, is there not?
Yeah, in like, for me, for example, like my anxiety and stuff like that, to some they try to say it's kind of vain a little bit, but I mean, it's one of those, if you feel good, you're going to look good. Because you look at yourself in the mirror. If you're feeling good, you're automatically going to assume you look good. You're not going to take half an hour to do your hair or anything anymore because I look great, I'm having a great day, everything's so great, you're just 110% positive, right?
Yeah.
Then when people get physically hurt, well, now you start seeing, like tidbits of depression and stuff. Well, I can't do what I used to. Or older community trying to do something they used to be able to do in 5 minutes as a kid. Well, now they're feeling the effects of age, leading them to be upset, and now it takes them half an hour to do what took them 5 minutes as a kid, right?
Yep.
So then it will hurt your physical health in a sense, because if your mind is your most powerful asset, right? So if your mind starts faltering, your body will go with it.
Yep.
You feel tired, you are tired.
Yep.
You feel negative, you're gonna be negative.
Yeah.
Right?
I just hope that our viewers can stop and just reflect on what you said about if you feel tired, you're going to be tired, and if you feel negative, that's the way we're going to feel.
And that's what it's all about, right? That's why they always say mind over matter.
Mind over matter, yeah. The connection or the well-being of a person's health with the use of medications. Did you have any experience in that you could share with us? Yeah.
Not positive ones.
Yeah. Okay.
I have seen many people, friends and family included, that the medication they were put on put them on a very self-destructive, addictive path, to the point I have watched my friends literally, vacate their bodies essentially because of an addiction from a medication they were prescribed to help their situation. Instead of the doctor looking at, okay, well, it's doing damages to this part of their body, they should not be on this. We should maybe look for a more holistic approach or something along those lines. They're just, oh, well, you either take that or suffer, take your pick. Well, then next thing you know, 3 months later, I'm attending a funeral.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, some work, some don't.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that medical kind of thing, I'm kind of biased because I've always been one, your body is your greatest weapon. So your natural immunity is your best ability to fight anything in society. If your mind starts going, fight back. If your body starts going, fight back. Like, you have the potential to do it.
Yep.
And you don't need medication to do it.
Yep.
But I understand doctors got to get paid too.
Yeah.
Right?
But that deserves some reflection on our part. I'm going to say my part too, because it makes a lot of sense, Jeff, that if we look after our body and our mind, we have that immunity. So our lifestyles, we should stop and check, our diets and our exercise and all those things once in a while and just see where we are at.
Well, exactly. And don't be afraid to tell your physician, like, okay, well, taking this pill that you put me on, something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
You grew up with that body. You know exactly what it's supposed to feel like because it is you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of just allowing, okay, well, you said I have to take this, but it makes me feel groggy. It makes me feel nauseous. Then don't take it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you just tell your physician, like, no, it makes me sick. Let's find a better option. And there's tons.
Yeah.
There's tons of options in the medical industry that they can help you with. Who knows? It might be just a case where, well, instead of taking T3s, go to physiotherapy with cupping or acupuncture or anything else. Maybe that'll help you better than that pill does.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Well, when we're talking about the mental health initiative that you're working on, I want to talk a little bit about an upcoming event at the Arts Forward that you're participating and making some presentations there. Can you give us the background, the dates and the cost, and what the topics that you will be discussing in those presentations at Arts Forward coming up in the very near future?
Yeah, absolutely. Like our Success Beyond series that we have, we kind of created it based off like a variety of different platforms, I guess. So like AFM standards, AA standards, different mental health, trauma and addictions based workshops. And it's designed to help those, like if you don't understand addiction, it's a good place for you to be. It really is, because someone somewhere in your ancestry has dealt with it at one point or another, right?
There's no family that's free of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if there's a family that is, I'm going to question it a little bit, right? Because someone's dealt with one of the three topics throughout it. So then we design the workshop so it's informative. We make the person that's there, rather you're an addict or not, an alcoholic or not, or suffer with mental health or not, that program is designed for you to be in the shoes of someone who is.
Okay.
So then you're going to feel, okay, well, imagine yourself in the shoes of an addict for our Success Beyond Addiction. Yep. Now, every question that's coming at you, think of yourself with a meth addiction, an opioid addiction. Think of yourself with a cocaine addiction. How's the stigma work? Are you facing this stigma? You know what I mean? And it puts a different perspective for everybody.
Yep.
Because then you're going to have the addicts that sit there and they're going to know a lot of the workshops, like, oh yeah, I did this at AFM. This is awesome, right? And they're going to be right into it. Then you're going to have the people that are kind of what we like to call naysayers, right? Where it's, well, no, you go see a psychiatrist or a counselor, right? But little do those people realize is 3/4 of the mental health industry thrives on the success stories it creates.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So most of the people
point.
in the mental health industry, they don't have a university education, they have experience,
Yeah.
right?
And experience is priceless when it comes to talking and sharing about mental and physical health.
Exactly, and that's not taking away from the intelligence or the caliber of anybody that does have certifications or diplomas or anything in it, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like if you're building a house, for example, and you know a carpenter that's in school, never built anything in his life, are you going to go to that carpenter, or are you going to go talk to one that's your best friend that's done it for 30 years?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Obviously, most people are going to go to the one who's actually built something, done something, right?
Yep. Yep.
Or having been through the process himself, because building a house is not an easy feat.
Yep.
Like the program's designed for all vantage points. This one we kind of narrowed down, so like 18 plus. Like we have different things that we'll do for students, because you got to be a little more interactive to hold students focused.
This is a 3-day program.
It is.
Coming up on what dates?
December 17th and 18th at Arts Forward here.
And you're talking about addiction, trauma, and
mental health.
And behind the mask type of thing.
Yeah, success beyond the mask. So the mask we all essentially wear, everybody, everywhere day to day, they hide their demons. Right? Yeah. So like that darkness or mental health issue that they cope with every day, they hide behind this mask. You fake that smile when you're upset or angry, or you're trying to be someone that you're ultimately not.
So we're not talking about the masks we're wearing to prevent the spread of COVID. We're talking about the masks behind our face or behind our lifestyle.
Exactly, exactly.
So you've got this initiative started, and your presentation at Arts Forward, the tickets are available. And how much is the cost, and where do they get the tickets?
It's $10 a ticket. We have approached some businesses in town too. Like, if they want to sponsor somebody, we have a specific list that, like, you know, if a business wants to pay $10 for buying a single ticket and sponsor someone that can't afford to go, well, now they have a sponsored ticket from a local business in town to be able to get them in, kind of deal.
Yep.
And you can get them Arts Forward box office. You can contact Frozen Fire Studios directly, and we can send you in the right direction.
What time period are we looking for each presentation?
Success Beyond Addiction, I want to say, is 4 till 8 p.m. On the 17th. 10 till 3 p.m. is Success Beyond the Trauma.
Yep.
And then 3 till 7 p.m. is Success Beyond the Mask.
Success Beyond the Mask. So in that time period, for $10, you are covering a lot of material that can be beneficial to a lot of people, whether they have the problems or living with someone or associated or know someone that needs some help.
Well, even someone in recovery. Right?
Or somebody in recovery.
If you have a loved one that's going through recovery and you kind of like, well, I don't know how to talk to this person.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. Research.
Yep.
Right? Figure out what it's like to be in their shoes. Because I can tell you from going through it in an experience, if you've never dealt with that, you have no idea what that person deals with daily. Yep. Right? Yep. And it's a continual battle every single day.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if you're like me at 9 years sober. Right? It's one of those things, even after 9 years, every single morning you got to look in that mirror and you got to face exactly what you did throughout those years, right? And you got to face every demon that's come because of that.
Does it get easier?
I'd like to say it does, but it doesn't. It's a battle every single day. You just have to prove that you're the alpha. It isn't. It's a previous you that doesn't hold any merit on who you are now.
Wow. Also, in your health initiative, you're in the process of starting, or maybe you started a regular TV program through WCG Westman Cable out of Brandon, is that right?
Absolutely. We shot the first 3 episodes that are in production now, just this morning.
Now, is this going to be aired once a week, or like weekly, monthly, or how do you get?
Weekly, I believe. They're going to air it weekly.
Yeah.
and the show is meant for people that you may not have experience in any of those topics. We still want to hear from you. We want you to come on. We want to know, how do you feel
Yep.
with how society approaches these topics? What do you feel about, the stigma surrounding these topics? And we've already interviewed people that are at various stages of their recovery. So it's a matter of, we want people to see that it doesn't matter where you are. There's still good reason to remain civil and show some humanity.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Is the stigma for mental health getting less? Are we talking more freely about it in society than we did in the past?
Depends on your environment. I've noticed, I've dealt with a few people through the initiative that have watched our live streams we do weekly, and they wanted to talk to me directly. And I've talked to a few of them, and it seems mostly it's the school systems where the stigma is the strongest.
Yep.
And I mean, granted, schools, there's so many students, so many moving parts. It's hard for everyone to stay on top of everything at all times, right? I get that. I mean, it wouldn't hurt for schools, do once a year. Just do an awareness week or something for, mental health and stuff. Because a lot of people I have dealt with, it's the bullying and stuff that goes on in places that are supposed to be zero tolerance that lead these kids into addiction-based issues or increased suicide rates.
Yep.
Right? And that's something that we drastically need to target. I've personally witnessed 4 different suicides, 2 of which were based off bullying. Oh. So I mean, in that sense, it's alone, the damage it did to me at that point. Well, I can only imagine how that mother felt, how that father felt, how their sisters, their brothers, and everyone around them felt.
Yep.
With that happening when you're supposed to entrust people with your children.
Yep.
Right? So I mean, it wouldn't hurt for school systems, implement something, a mental health awareness week, addictions awareness week.
Yeah.
I mean, have speakers come in, have speakers, from your hometown, rather it's me or Diane at Miles for Mental Health or somebody that is kind of in that to come and speak to these kids.
Yeah. I know from personal experience within our family, one of our family members suffering depression, probably one of the better enhancements of him getting over was when he was able to start talking about it and freely share it with other family members and friends, and he's not hiding behind that mask anymore, and you can actually see the difference.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
it's evident,
Yeah, it lights you up. A lot of your viewers would probably remember me as a young kid. I was always getting in trouble. I was always fighting. I was that angry, miserable kid growing up. And you don't know what happens behind closed doors, right? Yeah. But I mean, the stuff I dealt with behind closed doors made me that person, right? And until I was old enough to realize, hey, whoa. What happened to, when I first walked into high school? I was that sweet, sensitive guy that I could see a girl crying and I'd give her a flower and try to cheer her up, right? Yeah. Now all of a sudden I'm this aggressive guy that's complete 180 of who I was. Yeah. So then it was no, this isn't right. I got to figure this out, and I need to rectify this. So then I went heavy into my music, my martial arts, and focusing more researching different things that, why do I feel like this? What is causing this? And then, just talking and getting several different opinions from different physicians and psychiatrists and counselors and sponsors and different views. And it changed it drastically to the point now where I'm not as hard on myself. I'm not as negative. I always try to be positive. There is some days where it's a little hectic.
So obviously you have better control of your emotions because of how you're approaching things.
Exactly.
And are you able to control your emotions a lot easier now than you could a few years ago, for example?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And everyone has triggers too, right? So I mean, for mental health, trauma, or addictions, like if you suffer with PTSD or anything like that, there is always triggers. You learn your triggers, you can win the battle. But you've got to be able to figure that out. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
And it's very much like most people hate phys ed. Take that times that by 10 for the battle you got to walk through to become the better you, right? But you have to help yourself for anyone else to help you. Yeah. Right?
That's an interesting thought, and you have to face those triggers. I can hear that point, and I hope our viewers can stop and reflect on that one too, is those triggers that get your emotions going the wrong way. It's not good. Some of the other things that Frozen Fire Studios do is as music and recording and other things too. Like, so what are some of the other things you do in your studio?
We started as a music recording and production studio. Then I basically took a bunch of Berkeley online courses, which to me, you still had to do the time. It's not a full certification to do what you do, but it's still schooling, right? It still touches on everything you need to know in order to do the profession. Then I took like music, copyright courses, and everything else. And then finally, when I finished those, I'm like, you know what? I want to help artists that don't know where to go. So then we implemented an independent record label, which now has 4 artists, 2 of which that are just working on writing and getting ready to record their first track. 2 of which one of which that's from Minnedosa that just released his first full-length album. And then we have another artist from like Miami, Manitoba area that they just released their first full album, and she actually she became a finalist for Manitoba Loud Music Awards as a female fronted band of the year.
Really?
She didn't win, but
Wow.
And that's all fan nominated. So I mean it helps to grow, right? Yeah. And from that we branched off to we do offer distribution for some things. For music and video, we implemented a videography department, mostly for doing music videos and interviews, docu-series, stuff like that, the smaller stuff, right?
Yeah.
Then we went to artist management. And from there, we have consultations too. Like if an artist doesn't want to sign with the label or management or whatever, but they want to be able to sit down with someone, say, this is my game plan, what do you think? We have those options available too. I mean, part of what makes Frozen Fire what it is we all are dreamers and we all love what we do.
Yeah.
The money means nothing. Right? And that's the biggest thing. We do what we love, and in the end, we get rich. If we're poor, we're poor. We don't care because we love what we do.
And you're getting that peace of mind from what you do.
Well, exactly. And like, we deem it, if you go on our social media feeds and stuff like that, and you look, we have a very solid support system. We support each other, and we call it the Frozen Fire family. So fans, followers, our artists, initiative people, all of it, it's Frozen Fire family. You're not a client, you're not a customer, you're a family member. That's the way we look at it, right?
Yeah.
And that's driven us to heights we never expected to succeed this early on. But I've also heard from a company I work very, very closely with out of Portage, that's one of my best friends, that he put it in perspective that if you do what you love, there's nowhere to go but up.
That's pretty well put, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Well, and you're obviously you like working with people and supporting each other as family. But you also like organizing, and apparently you've been instrumental in organizing Rocking the Riverbend 2022. Can you give us a little background on where you're at this point?
Actually, where we're at on that point is we have a tourism board meeting this evening.
Yes.
We're going to go over everything, like cost analysis and stuff like that to kind of see where we're at that way. But as it stands, ahead of that meeting, like we have a full roster booked for both days.
Yep.
Every single artist is incredibly excited.
And this is in July, isn't it?
This is July,
Yeah.
22nd and 23rd. Same weekend as the Riverbend market, because we're actually going to be essentially joined with the market. Like if you don't go to the market, we'll discuss that at the meeting. But we're trying to tie it in, because Nipawin, we come to that conclusion that Nipawin needs something like that. Once we lost the Lily Fest,
Yes.
a lot of our arts kind of died off. And I know like Arts Forward, everything, NACTV, the banner, the press, all that, they try to push as much of that as they can. But I mean, you can only span to what your circles are.
Yeah.
Right? So then got thinking, let's put an event with it. It may not be a Lily Fest, but it's maybe in 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to occupy the whole park, or we got to start shutting down streets because it's too big.
Who
right?
knows? Yeah.
Exactly. Who knows? So with that, it'll be a registered event. So I mean, artists that perform, if they're registered with a performance royalty organization, anything, they'll be paid their royalties for performing here.
Yeah.
And it brings that community that music creates.
Yes.
It brings that back to Nipawin. And that is one of the biggest things I've struggled with starting here, is especially with the pandemic. The pandemic's what slowed it. It was nobody in Nipawin. Everyone was fully supportive of it. Everything we have tried to do to push the arts back into our community here, especially with Arts Forward, or with the Chamber of Commerce or the Tourism Board.
Yes.
Pandemic got in the way.
Yeah. So it's a win-win situation, isn't it?
It is.
Working together as a community for the betterment of everybody. Well, I congratulate you on the work that you're doing, Jeff, and I just wish you the best in the future, and I hope that your dreams become fulfilled and you get to work with a lot of family members as you go forward. Our time is getting a little short here as it goes quite quickly. Are there any thoughts that you would like to share with our viewers that come to mind?
Same thing I say to pretty much anybody. Stay safe and just stay you. Be the best version of yourself you can be. If you need help with achieving that, there's several organizations, associations, everything out there, including us. Reach out, we'll put you on the right path, and just stay healthy.
So if a person wanted to contact you, can you give us a phone number, or how's the best way to contact you?
You can contact, I always have my personal cell phone linked, because if someone's going through something and need someone to talk to, I'm not going to forward you through a system. I'm not going to lead you to an email. I will park my car on the side of the highway and be late to a meeting.
Yep.
To help somebody, because that means more to me than the meeting does.
Yep.
Right? Meetings can be rescheduled. What could happen based off that can't be.
Can you share that number with us, please, Jeff?
Yep. 204-841-2130. Or if you want to email to inquire about more questions, it's frozenfirestudios@outlook.com.
Good. Well, it's been a real pleasure meeting and talking to you, Jeff, and I look forward to some of your work down the road and follow your success stories, and maybe even I can help somebody more after having this conversation with you. I hope I can.
Absolutely. It was an honor, an absolute honor to be in here, especially in my hometown.
Yes. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us, and I hope there will be another time that and more interviews and discussions that we can participate in together.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that concludes today's coffee chat. And I hope our viewers, I hope that you have reflected on some of the things Jeff has shared with us, and look around our community members and family members, and sometimes a smile, a stop, and say hello or pat someone on the shoulder can go a long ways in our mental happiness. So until next time, my name's Lyle Watson. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a good day. Thank you.